time, because it's going to move right up the coast and probably into the Canadian Maritimes as we go into next week, and that will keep clouds and cooler temperatures around for folks up there. So we're definitely going to see some of that up there. But for us this weekend, if you've got plans, I know a lot of folks do, I think there's a few more homecoming celebrations this weekend. Both days, I think the story will be the wind, northeast winds. Temperatures will be in the low to mid 70s, depending on the cloud cover. Some showers trying to scoot in from the east. That is going to keep us on the coolish side during the day, but the mornings, because of the clouds, we'll probably see temperatures in the mid to upper 50s. So certainly some cool mornings, but definitely milder afternoons. Any rain chances stay mainly east of I-77 right now. So that would be the one thing that we'll watch going into the weekend. Just a heads up on the rainfall amounts. I showed you the kind of forecast. You're going to see the 7-day forecast here for rainfall is not all that great for our area. In fact, you start seeing some of the rainfall for us. It's like less than 1/10 of a quarter of an inch. So it's not a ton of rain right now. So I would not get super excited for a ton of rain. And when you see my Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast, which will be coming up here shortly, the 20% chance this weekend might be the best chance of rain we see for the next, not 7 days, but possibly 10 days. On top of that, next week the temperature starts to warm back up. We should be back into the upper 70s to low 80s. And by the way, that's way above average, because by next week the average high is going to be down in the low to mid 70s. So the average high is trending down and our actual temperature is trending up. So here's a look at the 10-day forecast. Next week, it stays warm and dry. No rain in that forecast. The drought monitor came out today, which was not great, by the way. I'm going to quickly show you that because I forgot to show at the top of the show here. I don't know what happened to my drought monitor. There it is. The reason I'm showing this is because next week, we could see this get a lot worse. We had moderate to severe drought showing up for the first time this season. There's a quick look at it, and you see where the rain is in eastern North Carolina. That should help. So we're going to talk about the nor'easter coming up after the break with Tim and Justin Michaels from the Weather Channel. We had a spectacular day. This is more like it. This is October, right? This is why I love this month. It was the funny thing was, Tim, I don't know if you heard a lot of people talking about sweater weather, flannel alert, and it was still in the low 70s here today. It wasn't like it was super frigid or anything. I think it's just so weird. We've been in the 80s. It's like once you have normal weather, it feels kind of cool, right?
We love to be a little dramatic with the change. Change is interesting, right? And it's been a good change. If you like fall, this is a good change. What really struck me, Brad, is, in our area up here, just up by 85 a little bit, our high temperature today was 67. Yeah. So we were just below 70. That's our first daytime high below 70 on a sunny day since April. So I think that really speaks to just how cool the air mass is, that even with full sunshine, we still weren't able to really warm up that much. And you feel the breeze, too. It just kind of cuts through you a little differently when there's no moisture in the air.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. And the wind's going to become a big story this weekend, Tim, right? We've got the front past us. Yeah. Most of the wind today was because of the front, but the growing wind over the next couple of days, it's still going to be northeast. It's going to be because of a nor'easter, this low pressure that we're expecting to develop on the coast. And we're probably going to see some significant impacts on the coast and maybe even some rain back our way. But the area that's been hit hard by storms really all summer long and now into the fall, and this one could bring some serious impacts, will be the Outer Banks. And joining us now live from the Outer Banks in Buxton is the Weather Channel senior national correspondent Justin Michaels. I know he's been out there all day, and Justin, thank you for joining us. My first question to you, Justin, is you've been out there, and I know you've been out there more than once. I think a lot of folks watching us, and even across the country, don't realize what a rough late summer and early fall it's been on the Outer Banks without even a landfalling tropical system. Talk a little about what you've seen out there and what it's been like so far this summer and fall now without even a hurricane.
Well, Brad and Tim, you talk about that northeasterly flow. I feel it to my back. My back is facing northeast, so it is a consistent and solid and very strong northeasterly flow. With that nor'easter coming to town this weekend, it's going to be even stronger. Now, we have to look back in time. We had Aaron, we had Imelda, we had Umberto, we had another nor'easter, and all of this producing that northeasterly flow, that onshore flow. And what it has done in just a few storms, not a few years, not a few months, but a few storms, is taken away 141 feet-ish, give or take a little bit here and there, but more than 140 feet of beach. So Lauren DeSarmo behind the lens, let's take a look. You can see one of the homes out here, gents. This home is clearly eventually going to fall in. It is truly sinking into the very soft sand underneath of it. Those pilings are eventually going to let go, but just think about 141 more feet of beach before all of these storms started coming to town this summer. That's the reality here. And then if you go back throughout the years, Brad and Tim, we're talking a couple hundred yards of beach and what used to be a massive dune between where we're standing right now and where the water's edge was just 10 years ago. So the amount of land loss is extraordinary. And for people who call this place home, and what they have witnessed with their own eyes. In fact, some of the people say they come out here every day, and every day they don't know what beach may be left. It changes by the day. So it's just happening so rapidly, and for folks who call this place home, it's very, very challenging for them to see what's happening to their home. Guys, back into you.
And Justin, when you're there, are you encountering very many visitors? I know it's not the peak time, it's not summertime, but are there a lot of people visiting the area right now? Right. And are they communicating at all of should they stay? Or because Highway 12, we've seen a couple times this summer, it gets closed down for a couple days. So are they ready to stick it out if they stick around, or are they being asked to make any changes?
Yeah, Tim, one thing that people here are keenly aware of, including the temporary visitors, is to pay attention to all those warnings. And if they say Highway 12 is going to be closed down, most people do head out of town. I can tell you it is off season. Here we are in the fall, getting close to, Halloween and all the holidays coming up. So yes, it is dramatically reduced as far as the number of people here. But I will tell you something that really struck me. We were here just last week for Imelda and Umberto and the pounding this coastline took because of those storms, which were 1,000 or more miles away, right? But still all that energy out in the Atlantic coming inland and pounding this coastline. And when you look up the beach, some of the homes that were there as those storms were pounding are no longer there. And it's amazing just to see how quickly things happen. And they were also just 1 week before Imelda and Umberto came up through and caused all the upheaval here on the coast. And I still can't get my mind around this. So that was last week. Those homes were there. A week before that, so just 2 weeks ago, some of the homes that are here in the water were rented.
Wow.
2 weeks ago.
Wow.
They were safe enough to rent, and now they're condemned. Yeah.
Yeah, Justin, that's amazing because I can't remember. I've been in the Carolinas for 22 years to see 9 homes in 1 week, right? We lost 9 of them last week. I'm not asking you to be a fortune teller here, but just based on what you've seen there, how many homes you think are going to be at risk with this nor'easter coming up?
Right, so we've definitely got our green one right over here that's sinking. I think it's gone a little bit further in the time we've been here for the last 12 hours today. But you've got a couple right here and then a few more up the beach. I mean, it's there. We talked to a gentleman earlier today who's a professional surfer, a lifelong resident here, Brett Barley, and he doesn't like to speculate which homes are going to go in because there are some homes that are still standing that everybody said that's the next one. So they try not to get around that whole speculation game. But there are certainly 5 or 6 right along here that are at least the front line and are in the water, especially during high tide and that high tide cycle twice a day. So, I mean, this green one, I don't want to be speculative, but it can't hang on that much longer. I mean, just take a look at the porches on the right side of it and how the entire house looks like it's leaning into the ocean. It's only a amount of time before that footing is gone. And could that northeasterly flow, that nor'easter coming in this weekend, be the death blow for it? It's possible. It certainly is, but maybe it's the next storm after that. You know, you really don't know. And guys, something else that people are really focused on here, in addition to, sea rise and climate change, is the fact that there was a jetty that was installed back in the late 1960s by the U.S. Navy. That jetty was made of steel. And over the decades since then, it has been eaten away by the Atlantic. Of course, steel and salt water are not necessarily the best of friends. Then it's eaten it away. And ever since that jetty really was taken out, that's when people here say they saw a rapid increase in the number of homes that were destroyed. And to really highlight that, from 1973 to 2017, no homes were lost. None. And then in 2017 is when that switch was flipped and that jetty was really gone and this beachfront was completely unprotected. And that's when we saw the dramatic decrease in the amount of beach. The average over the years has been 10 to 15 feet a year, but just in the last couple storms, like I said a few moments ago, 141 feet has disappeared from here to the water line. So it just has rapidly accelerated since that jetty disappeared.
I wonder what people's moods are to this. Are people that live there, this is their home, are they resigned to the fact that like this is just what's happening, or are they a little defiant, like we got to do something about this? Because it seems to me there's not all that much you can do at this point where we are.
Right, so a gentleman that owns a home, so I've been calling this side of the houses, the ones closer to land, not closer to the ocean, as kind of the next line of defense. We talked to a gentleman earlier today, a homeowner here since 1981. His name is Lat Williams, and his plan, he and his wife have purchased a plot of land inland, several blocks and at higher elevation, which, as you know from this coastline, there isn't a lot of elevation, but there are places that are a little higher than others. They've purchased a plot of land there, and their plan, as long as they are working in Mother Nature's timeline here, is to actually lift their home, which is right on the water's edge right now, lift it and move it inland. Will they have the time to do it? That's the question. Wow. But they're going to try. So yes, people are doing what they can in some cases to be proactive and try to save their property, whereas others, when you're dealing with homes like this that are fully condemned, remember, still a rental property, yes, but remember, rental properties are where people call their home for a short period of time and make family memories, make friendship memories, make lifetime memories in plot properties like this. So yes, it is a rental property, but we all spend time in them from time to time, and we all remember back on those fabulous times in properties like this. So again, maybe it's not somebody's primary residence, but it's all of our temporary residents occasionally, meaning it does mean a lot to a lot of folks. So it just depends on who you talk to. I think some people are resigned to it, to your initial question. Others are trying to be a little more proactive, like Lat Williams. It just depends on where people are and what they think they can do.
Wow. Well, Justin, I want to give you some time to kind of regroup there, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I think you make a good point about
Sure.
the memories that are lost when these homes go in, because a lot of folks have probably spent some great summer vacations in those homes, and those are second homes for a lot of folks. And I know we'll hear more from you over the next couple of days and into the weekend. Stay safe out there. But once again, thanks for joining us from Buxton, senior correspondent for the Weather Channel, Justin Michaels. Thank you so much, Justin.
Thanks,
You
Justin.
bet, guys. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
All right. Tim, man, one of the things that struck me about that was the fact that, how much beach they lost just in the last week. I mean, I thought I kind of knew how much it lost, but that was really illustrative to tell us, I think they lost 100 feet of beach just in the last week and a half. So this is really going to be traumatic for a lot of folks out there. And that one house, can you believe that? It was rented just 2 weeks ago. Somebody was in that house. Here this whole time I'm thinking these have been unoccupied for weeks, and somebody rented one of those just 2 weeks ago.
It's really hard to imagine, and I almost thought I misheard him at first. Just the fact of 100 feet
Yes.
in such a short time. Be interesting to kind of look at, we can do this, I'm sure. Looking at satellite imagery,
Yeah.
comparing, whether last year to this year, a couple months ago, whatever's available, and then kind of brainstorming like why the storms have been bad, certainly, but is there any other sort of small scale reason for this particular area? Because usually, Brad, we talk about Rodanthe as being the one
Yeah.
that's been the most vulnerable, but Buxton, it seems like there is something really accelerating that coastline loss, as Justin was telling us firsthand.
Yeah, and it also struck me, too, about the one owner that's going to move their house. We saw that with the Hatteras Lighthouse not too long ago when they lifted the whole lighthouse and
That's
moved
right.
it inland. And they didn't move it just a little bit inland, Tim. They moved that thing pretty far inland to higher ground. But, I know a lot of people are going to say, wow, that's super expensive, right? But think about it. Losing the house is going to cost you a fortune. So in some cases, it might be the best thing. And who knows, maybe the insurance companies are saying, hey, we'll cover some of the costs to move your house so we don't have to cover the whole loss if you move it inland. I do think it's interesting. That was a great question, by the way, because I don't know what they do. That jetty thing struck me, too. It's like that jetty was clearly catching sand and maybe building the beach up. And I don't know if there's something like that could be constructed to help catch sand and maybe replenish the beach naturally, not artificially.
Yeah, I'm not up to speed on the latest regulations necessarily, but I know back when I worked in the Wilmington area, this was a big controversy with local mayors and local beach towns. North Carolina is basically a no hardened structures on the beach kind of a state, and that includes jetties and includes piers and rock walls. And if you think about it, you don't really see those things up and down our coastline, and that's kind of the way that they like it, and they have conservational reasons. The Coastal Resources Commission is kind of the one that gives the recommendations on these things. So typically they're not allowed to, and so maybe that could change, but I think it might need some permission as far as I know.
Yeah, that's really interesting you say that, because when I was doing the Helene coverage back in the mountains, something similar happened to one of the churches that was going to be moved. They weren't able to add on to the church because it was in the floodplain, but because they were moving it further back out of the floodplain, they could add on to it. So it strikes me as one of those kind of technicality things here, that jetty probably wasn't supposed to be there to begin with, and maybe gave people a false sense of security that that beach was going to be there longer than it was.
And if you build it, it could give you the sand, but it could take it away from somebody else too.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the give and take a little bit with that. But really amazing report there, and I think it really humanizes what we've been seeing with these homes falling in. A lot of times people are really just crass on social media watching these things go in there, but this is real impact. I mean, this is real stuff that's happening to people's lives, and like Justin was saying, most people watching us right now, us included, take a beach vacation every now and then.
Yeah.
And you probably rent one of these houses somewhere. It might not be in the Outer Banks, but gosh, it's not a good thing to see happening. And this is going to be a tough storm. I think we're thinking about 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts, possibly a couple inches of rain, but that overwash is really going to be difficult to stomach. And that's the main thing that knocks the homes down is the waves.
Yeah, and to your point, I think one of the things that worries me about this storm is the duration of the northeast flow. It's not going to be an in and out kind of storm. It looks like even after the storm moves out, the northeast flow could continue for a couple days even without rain. And so I wonder how much erosion. I don't know if I've been watching social media down even into Florida and Charleston and even the North Carolina beaches. There's been a lot of erosion this week already up and down the East Coast just from the onshore flow and the king tides, Tim. And so there's been a ton of erosion going on. So this could be one of the bigger erosion events we've seen in the Carolina coast in a long time.
I think so, and especially, the Outer Banks, they stick out more. The angle for them on the Northeast is worse than it is for Wilmington or Myrtle or South Carolina or anything like that. But everybody should have a pretty tough time at the beach. Locally, I'm interested now. I wouldn't have said so yesterday, but I do wonder if we could get some rain out of this even here. Saturday night, Sunday morning seems to have some potential.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I'm looking at the same trends, and part of me wants to say, okay, I could see rain getting back west, Tim, but as you know, with these situations, the gradient and the dry air on the backside of this, it's going to be like all or nothing kind of thing. It's going to be somebody's going to get some rain and somebody's not. So I'm curious how much dry air plays into this and where that band sets up. But I guess the good news is if it does rain, we need it. Second of all, it looks like you said it could be overnight Saturday night into Sunday morning. So that's always good timing. We love when it rains at night, not during the day.
For sure, especially on a Saturday, Sunday. A lot of things going on. Mountains will be fine if you want to go up in Leaf Peak. The color looks great up there. But the coast, not the place to be.
Yeah, this weekend's rough at the coast, and obviously I'm sure we'll hear more from Justine over the next couple of days. But thanks again, everyone, for joining us tonight. Great reports from the Outer Banks, and everybody who's watching from out there. We're thinking about you. Hope you get through this. This is going to be a long-duration event. We'll have more coverage coming up right here on WCNC Plus after the break.